insightful episode of Me and My Health Up. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. The purpose of this podcast is to enhance and enlighten your well-being. And today I'll be doing that for you on the topic of stop wasting your time and money on longevity, because it's a big market out there. We've seen all the propaganda and everyone's spruiking longevity, and they've all got their solution to living longer. And there's a lot of emerging research around, I guess, the whole anti-aging industry. And it's huge. It's been around for decades, around the sort of anti-aging, removing wrinkles, making yourself look younger. But now it's been amplified around this whole longevity and how we can live a longer life. Well, it's making certain people out there a lot of money. There's a lot of marketing propaganda around it. And I'm wanting to share my insights around this whole longevity anti-aging market, because a lot of it is just getting your money, and you are actually just wasting money on a lot of these products and supplements and services around, living a longer life. And first of all, I want you to answer the question, answer the question as to why longevity is important to you. So, why do you want to live longer? It's important to understand what's the driver behind it. Why are you interested in living longer? Is it just because it's a fad and everyone's talking longevity, and then so therefore you need to be riding this trend around longevity? Or is there an underlying reason why you want to live longer? For some people, it might be because they're living an unfulfilled life now, and they're thinking, well, if I live longer, I might find myself, or I might find some fulfillment later on in life. Or for some people, it's the fear of death. They're actually, it's a fear of death. And also another one is around no longer being young and the fear of growing older. So it could be any of these drivers that are underlying this reason why longevity grabs your attention. And you need to address that underlying driver as to why you're interested in longevity. If you look at a lot of statistics and research, you'll find our society, generally speaking, is quite miserable, is quite unfulfilled, and is lacking in happiness and joy. And why is this? Why is this so? And then if that is the case, then why are we interested in longevity? Just to be miserable for longer? And then if you look at the health span, so that's the ability to, maintain ability and living functionally for longer, right? And then we've got longevity, which is just extending your life. Ultimately, you don't want a life extension if you haven't got the health span, if you haven't got the ability to enjoy life. So again, I think we're losing a bit of context in this buzzword longevity, and we're losing a sense of ourself as to why we're chasing it. We need to question why we're chasing it and address the underlying driver as to why we're chasing it, as opposed to just buying another supplement, because it's costing you money buying another supplement that is absolutely really not making a big difference. Because if you're unhappy and unfulfilled, then you're depurposing and you're decaying and you're not growing. You're essentially, what they say is when you ripen, you start rotting. If you're green, you're growing. So if if you're feeling very unfulfilled, it's more important to understand why you're unfulfilled and addressing that, as opposed to buying another supplement. Often we look for that quick fix, which is buying a supplement. Oh, that's just going to make me live longer, and I've got more time to find myself and to find what gives me meaning and purpose. Well, you can find it now. You can find that now. You don't need to extend your life and hoping you find it by, just shooting willy-nilly and not actually hitting your target. You can find that now. There's ways and means to find your purpose. And in actual fact, you're most likely living by your purpose and making decisions based on what's most important to you, but you're discounting it because you're thinking you should be someone else. And so the issue is the comparison to other people and thinking if you do what they're doing, you'll be even more fulfilled and more happy. But that's them doing them. What you want to do is continue focus on what brings you joy, what brings you fulfillment, and do more of that. And I believe that's more important than chasing a pill to extend your life whilst being miserable and unfulfilled. It's far better to be in the now and do what's most fulfilling now and what's most important to you now than just taking a pill and just hoping things will get better. To me, that's just wasting your money. A lot of these supplements are coming in really high dosages, and a lot of that is just excreted as waste because our body can't deal with high dosages of anything. It's if it's not in its natural form as it is in nature, then our body struggles to deal with it, and it get rid of the excess and only take what is required. And how do you know you actually need that supplement? How do you know that is actually deficient? A lot of people don't. They just take it because some celebrity says it's great and they want to look like the celebrity. But you just don't know what that celebrity is doing beyond taking that supplement. They're probably, doing all these other cosmetic changes and spending hundreds of thousands on their looks, or it could be on makeup or whatever it is. And so they're putting on a facade to sell the supplement to you that is not going to improve your quality of life. It's not going to improve the way you feel about yourself. It's not going to give you any more fulfillment. In actually fact, it's going to create more dissatisfaction with life, more emptiness, because you're not being you. So the best thing we can do in terms of improving, our quality of life is living a life that's authentic to who you are and doing things that are meaningful to you, that are important to you, and not comparing and chasing other people's lives or goals. So that's one thing that you can do, is do more things that are fulfilling to you, that feel right to you. And the one way to tell whether it's right for you is it will bring you vitality. If you're doing something that's unfulfilling, it will drain your energy. So a good test is, are you more vital in doing these activities, in filling your day with these activities? Or you can think of the days where you're very vital. What were you doing those days? What were you doing that lit you up, that brought you energy? So that's far more important, is to do more of the things that are fulfilling to you. And when we're doing that, we're more present. And when we're more present, we're not aging. So what can happen with the focus on the longevity is we're focused on the future and we're not present and living in the now. And that's actually aging us. It's aging us by focusing on the future, or focusing on the past, that more youthful self, and wishing you were back in the past and were living that youthful self. That's aging you too. So when we dilute time and space by either living in the past or living in the future, we accelerate aging. We're going to live a shorter life, regardless of what supplement we're taking, or what, cold bath or cold plunge or sauna we're doing. And so it's more important to focus on how you can live more present and do more things that are meaningful to you. That's more important than buying a supplement or jumping in a cold plunge or getting in a sauna or doing anything that these longevity people are preaching. It's more important you get back to being you, because what's the point of continuing to chase these people that you look up to and realize that regardless of what you do or they say that you should do, and you do that and you still feel empty, what's the point? You're just aging yourself faster, but they're making money out of you. So I think it's really better to get back to the basics. We already there's populations around the world that live long lives, that live very fulfilled lives, experience joy and happiness, and it's not taking supplements, and it's not, buying these cold plunges or buying saunas or thinking that you need another membership. They don't do that. They live very simple and traditional lives. I think what you want to look at is how can you simplify your life and get more present, and in that process, how can you find more gratitude and love? And see, gratitude and love are the greatest healers, because when we're grateful, we're accepting things as they are. We're not wishing they were different. And when we're wishing, we're fantasizing, we're going into the future, and that is aging us because we're not present. Or we wish the good old days would come back, and therefore we're going back in time and we're not present, therefore we're aging. And so it's far better to stay present and to uh, do things that are fulfilling for you. And that doesn't, that you don't go about doing that by comparing yourself to others. You look within, you spend time reflecting, and you spend time thinking about whether the actions you're doing, the behaviors you're doing, are bringing energy to you, bringing vitality to you, making you present. It's the activities where you feel that time slows down. That's what brings you presence. So think about the activities where time seems to slow down, and then you look at the time and you think, oh wow, so much time's elapsed, but I feel like I spent a day doing that activity. Like recently, had a day off and went and visited my parents, and I was very present that day. And at the end of the day, so were my children. At the end of the day, we were driving home, and the kids were saying to me, "It feels like we've had the whole weekend up there." So we slowed down time so much that it actually felt that it was much longer than what it was, because we were so present. And so, what activities slow time down for you? They're the things that you want to schedule more and do more often, because they're meaningful to you, and that brings more purpose to your life. And so it's not trying to live someone else's life, or chasing other people's dreams. It's what is most fulfilling to you, and doing more of that, which will bring you more presence, which will amplify your gratitude and love, which will inevitably make you ageless, and a much greater health span, and a more fulfilling life. And it's the same as, like, if you look, a lot of these people are, fearing death. Well, they're assuming that death is something scary. I mean, it's unknown, but we're making up something about it, aren't we? So we're judging death, and thinking it's worse than our human experience. We don't know that. And so what we should do is optimize or maximize our time as a human by being present, and then accept death for whatever it is when we go there. And so I think it's silly to think that, death is scary. Well, none of us know that. And in actual fact, it's just going to be different, right? We're just no longer in a human body, and we're still connected. And then I think this is the other thing, is that ultimately what we want to do as the human experience is feel more connected. And the more connected we feel, the more we're going to not worry about what happens after your spirit leaves your human body. because you feel totally connected anyway to everyone and everything. And so I really think it's more important to focus on the now, do things that are meaningful to you, which will give you purpose, which will create this ageless body, this timeless mind, and we live a more fulfilling life. And then we're not worried about what happens next because we're totally fulfilled. And we're not concerned that we haven't lived a life. We and we're grateful for what we've accomplished and experienced in this presence. So I think that's more important, far more important than buying products and buying services associated with the longevity trend or fad. As I said at the start, that what's the point of living longer if you're miserable now? Much better to address the misery now and start getting more fulfilled now. Then you're not going to be fearful of aging. And why do we, think that getting older is so much worse than when we were young? In actual fact, it's just a different experience. We're more knowledgeable about life. We're more where we can develop more purpose through because we can help those going through experiences that we had similar when we were younger. We can help them, we can guide them, and it gives you more purpose to life. So that age can actually be more, I'm more useful. I feel that I have more purpose and there's more meaning to my life because I'm able to assist those that are younger, that are having these challenges that I've experienced and I've encountered and overcome, and I can help them navigate through those experiences. And therefore, I feel more useful, and therefore, my life's more meaningful, and I have more purpose, and therefore, I'm very satisfied and fulfilled. So, again, look at why you're interested in this longevity. Keep questioning yourself why. Why is longevity important to me? Get to that underlying reason and address that. Don't buy another supplement or another service, whether it be cold plunges or hot things. Again, this whole market can actually accelerate aging because you're toxifying your body and having excess supplements and doing excessive time in saunas and cold plunges, which, if you're doing it excessively, is toxic to the body. It is extremely stressful for the body, and that will accelerate aging. So these products and services that we buy that we think they're going to give us longevity, if we don't do it according to our body and listen to our body and whether it's resonating with our body, then it can be really doing the reverse of what you want. So I just wanted to provide some insights in this market space because I think people are just latching onto it because it's trendy, it's fashionable, but we're not really questioning and slowing down and asking why and addressing the why and finding more meaning and purpose in the now and living a fulfilling life now. And we don't need to worry about longevity, and you don't need to waste your money on it. So please, I want to shout out to, well, I was going to say, please, like, follow, share this episode with others that you think are addicted to the longevity market, that need a different perspective on it. That could be very helpful to me and helpful to them. So please share it. And I'd like to shout out to Amanda, who gave me some feedback on the Health Up podcast. Really appreciate Amanda connecting, reaching out to me and letting me know what she thinks of the show. So thank you, Amanda. And anyone else wants to share their feedback, I'm all open to receiving feedback because I'm wanting to create this podcast more meaningful to you. How do I do that? Through feedback. What's meaningful to you? What do you want to hear more about? Was this insightful? Was this interesting? Please share that feedback with me so I can help you along your journey to discover more health. And as a result of that, more wealth in the area of health, and a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Thank you for listening.